Hi, I'm Justin.
Name's Tim.
Serena.
I'm Omar.
I'm Evan.
Jenny.
And our product's the All Draw. It's a pen with different tips that can do lots of different functions, like be a crayon, a colored pencil, a marker, pen, pencil, highlighter, anything you need. So we started just like everybody else. The kids had already started working on their projects for a little while. They had an idea, and so we wanted to talk about the problem space that the kids recognized to make this project first.
So we saw that a lot of kids, every year they have to go buy supplies, and it's just a big hassle. Back to school list shopping, and they have a whole arsenal of things in their backpack. Sometimes it's at their desk, it's in their backpack, it's all over the place. So we decided to make one tool that would be like a placebo for everything, for a tool that would work for every function that a kid would need. And it would be good for school, home, for everywhere they would need help with organization, supplies, and yeah.
So the design intent was to reduce kind of costs. Parents have to buy supplies every year usually. They usually have to buy 2 sets of supplies so they can have a set at home and a set at school. We wanted to reduce that, as well as reduce desk clutter. So you're not having 50 different pens and pencils on your desk. If you're doing an art project, it's just one and then a set of really small tips. So to start real quick, we had 2 different designs to start out with that were kind of competing. That was our first brainstorming, and this is the first of the 2. Tim's going to tell you about it.
We originally were thinking of like a mechanical pencil-like body, but what we have here is a metal one, because we couldn't really find like a thin plastic. We were thinking about PVC, but there was nothing that thin. So our original idea was thin plastic, and then the tips would be stored inside as seen in the sketch. They would have threads to screw onto the tip when you needed, and it would have a cap with the eraser on it.
The other idea was a modular pen, so each tip was self-contained. It could be a pen, a marker pen would have its own inkwell or extra material inside, and then they would screw together, and if you had enough, you would have a pen to use. But this one was a lot more difficult for us to figure out how to manufacture, so we decided to go with the first idea, which is the hollow pen body.
First, start off for our prototype with we tried to stick with the threads and screwing the tips on, so we had a nut and bolt. But a problem we had was, well, first off, we hot glued the nut to the tip of the grease pencil, and that kind of melted the grease pencil, so it kind of came off. And when we tried to screw it on, the bolt would push out the pencil, so we had problems with that.
We used grease pencils because they're kind of like crayons. They can write really easy on anything, and they're just wrapped in paper. So you don't need to sharpen them like you would a colored pencil. You can just peel the paper off. But yeah, as Tim said, that was kind of an issue with the hot glue. It wasn't sticking very well. So our second attempt, rather than trying to screw it on, we attached the tip to a magnet and then add a magnet on the end of the pen as well. And the magnets would stick together. But the magnets were really strong, so it was really difficult to unstick the magnets once they were together, and the tips would rip off in the process all the time. So we needed to come up with something better, and that's where we designed iteration 3.
Instead of a magnet glued to the tip, we used a nut, which it was smaller. It was still strong and reliable, but it was easy to take off. That was pretty much the main thing that gave for us.
Yeah, it worked pretty well, but there were some issues with stability. Once again, the glue was still pretty weak. So our next iteration addressed those issues. We put a sleeve around the junction where the magnet was, and we put another section of pipe forward of that to kind of lock in the tip and keep it from wobbling when you were writing. And then we put tape over the back of the nut so that it wouldn't rip off if you were doing that. But unfortunately, that kind of had the added negative that it made it really difficult to retrieve the pens from inside the pen body. So that was something we'd have to address in manufacturing if we were going to take it to market. These are a list of improvements that we'd really like to make if we were going to start manufacturing it. Tim will talk about the first 4. I'll talk about the last.
So it was metal, and when we did our stage for observations, some of our subjects said they had problems with it, the the pen body being too big and causing discomfort. So if it was plastic, maybe thinner, that would be a lot better. And a variety of colors for aesthetics, just a variety of colored pencils, and just to make the use. Sure, make it cooler. Yeah. Another improvement we could make is have the tips with metal built in instead of having to glue a magnet or add a separate one, because one problem that we arose was we would put the tip in, and when we would try to take it out, the magnet is so strong that it rips the nut off of the tip. So if we had to kind of tape it on, but if the metal was built into the tip, then we wouldn't have that problem. Also, slightly weaker magnets would also help with keeping the nuts stuck onto the tip, because it wouldn't rip off.
The other things we'd want to do is make a functional mechanical pencil. It's not really that convenient to have to sharpen your pencil with this product, so we really wanted a mechanical pencil tip, but it was incredibly difficult to get that to work. So we ended up just using a regular pencil that we did the same thing as the other tips to make it work. And we would like a mechanism to recover stuck tips. That was something that we figured out with the tape. If tips get stuck in, you basically have to take it all entirely apart to retrieve those. So the students came up with an idea, maybe cutting a slot in the side, putting something in there that you could push all the tips out. And that's probably what we would go with. It seems like it would be effective, but we didn't have the time to implement that solution. We'd like a cap with an eraser on it so that you can have a bit more utility. And we'd like a lot more variety in tips. You know, the original intent was to have markers, colored pencils, crayons, pens, pencils, highlighters, everything. And we were able to get some of that working with what we could do, but not all of it. And I think if we were going to manufacture it, we could definitely get those ordered to specification. And then the last thing we have is our commercial, which Tim put together with the students. And so how do we play this?
Hello, my name is Oman. I will show you the super fantastic All Draw.
All Draw is a pen that has many tips so that you won't have to waste your time getting up to get pens, pencils, markers, etc.
It also has a pouch with sort of tips.
Wow, this works really good.
Come on down and get the All Draw.
If you don't know how it works, then let me show you.
The price is $4.99.
All Draw. Better on paper, better for painters.
All draw, better on paper, better for painters.
Call 1-800-577-8038. That's 1-800-577-8038. Limited time offer. Not available in stores and is made in Britain. Beware of imitators. May cause heart attack, stroke, and death. Use with caution.
All right, thanks everybody.